Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, if you want to be inspired, this episode is the episode for you. My friend John is one of the most inspiring people I have ever met. He's a magician, he's a TEDx speaker, he's an author, he's a Swiss Army knife of positivity, but he's also a TEDx speaker. So we're going to be talking about the magic of overcoming adversity. And if you stay and listen to this show during this episode, we're going to be able to get you something that you can have for free from Mr. John today. John, my brother, welcome to the
Howdy.
How are you?
I'm awesome. Glad to be here.
I love it. So my first question, John, is what is your definition of resiliency?
Resilience is a measurement of how quickly you can recover from adversity. That's basically, everybody has resilience in them. Some people take 20 years to become resilient. Some people can do it overnight. And the more you exercise that resilience muscle, the more resilient you become, the more you're able to get out of your own way and deal with adversity and wipe the dirt off your knees and elbows and just get back to living life.
I love it. So give us a quick down and dirty. Where did you come from? Where did you grow up? And how did you become such a force like you are today?
I grew up in Southern California in Los Angeles, suburb of Los Angeles. Born to two great parents, single, only child. Had everything I needed. Upper middle class family. Went to a ritzy private school, kindergarten through 12th. Got involved in theater. Learned how to think creatively. Just was, living life, enjoying myself. Got into college, followed the passion of doing theater. Computers were always interesting, so I started a computer consulting company out of college. And everything was going great. I had great life experiences, great circle of friends, really loving relationship with my parents, a girlfriend, nothing. I didn't need anything. And then, unfortunately, in 2002, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And that was a shock, especially when I was meeting the surgeon for the first time. And he had no bedside manner. And he put my MRI up, looked at it, called a neurosurgeon in. Neurosurgeon came in, looked at it. The neurosurgeon left, and the doctor said, "Okay, John, you have a 4.5 centimeter acoustic neuroma. It is killing you because it's displacing your brainstem." I pushed another patient, and we are scheduling surgery in 4 days. And left the room.
So, because I want to just go back because, what is it like getting that news?
It goes through one ear and out the other.
Okay.
I remember sitting on the examining room table with the tissue paper under my bed, squirming and hearing the rustling of the tissue paper. And the surgeon not having any kind of compassion or bedside manner was a shock. And me, I live my life that it's better ask for forgiveness and permission. So I left the room. I heard his voice. I followed the voice to a little room. He was sitting inside the room on a stool, recording a thank you note to my general practitioner that had referred me. And I opened the door and looked down at him. I said, "Sir, we were not done." And I drug him back to the examining room. You got to be your own medical advocate nowadays. Doctors, surgery centers, hospitals, they deal with so many people. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I didn't care if I pissed him off. We're talking about my life now. We're talking about a 14-hour brain surgery. And he needed to answer my questions. So we spent another half hour and said that, there'd be time for me to come back and ask more questions. So I left and I met my parents for lunch, and they wanted to know what had happened. And I didn't remember a thing he said. Did he say it was going to be a 4-hour surgery or 14-hour surgery? Did he say how long it was I was going to take to recover? I mean, I was a basket case. All I had the time to do was put my affairs in order, get one of my employees to agree to take over the business for, who knows, a month, 2 months, whatever the recovery time was, and get ready for surgery. My dad drove me down the night before surgery. I checked into the hospital room. They ran some blood tests. I tried to get a couple hours of sleep. 6 a.m. on the dot, the orderly came in and said, okay, get naked, get on this gurney, and we'll cover you with a sheet. And here we go. And I'm rolling on this gurney, and all I can see is the rows of fluorescent lights, as I'm passing. And my life is starting to go in front of me. I don't know what's going to happen, And we get to the surgery prep area, and the nurse says, okay, John, do you want me to shave your head before you go under or after? And I was like, after, please. And she smiled and said, okay. And the next thing I know, I'm going, and they're saying, okay, start at 5 and count down. 5, 4, 3, and I'm out. Next thing I know, I hear these voices, John, John, John. I was like 20 meters deep in a pool, trying to swim to the surface, trying to regain consciousness. And I don't know how long it took. It seemed like 10 minutes, but it was probably only 2 minutes. And when I finally came to, my dad was sitting on the bed holding my hand. But I looked around the room and I didn't see my mom. So I asked my dad for my glasses, and I started putting on the glasses and realized that I couldn't because of my head was bandaged. So I had to kind of cockeyed put the glasses on. And then I saw my mom, and the look on her face was one of horror. She was thinking, what did these butchers do to my poor son's face? And yeah, he had mentioned that there was a possibility of some facial weakness, but he didn't really say that was going to happen. He didn't prepare me for really what it was going to be like going through life for the rest of my life, not being able to hear out of my left ear. I have full feeling in my face. It's just I can't move the left-hand side of my face. But I think, as I look back and I go over those times and my journey of hiding for 12 years, it was that moment, that pivotal moment where I was sitting there looking at my mom's face. There's always that story, you have a face only a mother can love. Mm. Well, my face, my mother didn't even love anymore. So how was I supposed to love my face if my own mom didn't love my face? And that's where my spiral started. And I went home and started recovering and had a complication and had to go back to the hospital for another small surgery and come back to home. And I'm like, okay, I can relax and try to heal. And whenever you have brain surgery, it takes the energy way out of you. It was a 14, 15-hour surgery.
Now, did you have, because I have a traumatic brain injury and I have memory issues. Did you have any memory issues?
I did not have memory issues.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. But, life moved on and I coped. Fortunately, the dizziness that brought me in to get surgery was gone, which was a relief. The doctor said that he had every expectation that the facial paralysis was temporary. So that gave me hope. So I stayed at home running my IT company, talking to people on the phone, and just waited for the face to come back. I got rid of all the mirrors in my house because I didn't want to be reminded of my facial paralysis. And so once a day, once every couple of days, I go into the mirror and try to smile. And nothing would happen. And I said, okay, we'll try again in a couple of days. And every time I go back to the doctor, that was the first question I asked him. And he said, John, you just got to be patient. No one knows how long it's going to take, but I have every hope that your face will come back. And the longer it went, month, 6 months, 12 months, on my 18th month doctor visit, my doctor wasn't there. And I saw another partner in his medical firm. And of course, my first question to the new doctor was, so when is my face going to go back? And he had my file in front of him, but you could tell he wasn't prepared and he hadn't read it. And he said, so John, well, how long has it been? I went, 18 months. He goes, 18 months? Why'd you wait so long? And I said, what do you mean, why did I wait so long? I've been coming back to your partner every month for 6 months, every 6 months for a year, and now this is my 18-month appointment. What do you mean? I was angry. I was livid. And all this doctor could say is, oh, sorry. Because at that point, the attachment points of the muscles to my face had atrophied. So even if they could do some kind of nerve surgery to extend the nerve, it wasn't going to work. And so that's when then I really realized that I was going to be permanently paralyzed. And I hid for 12 years, something like that. And after I got so bored, I hit rock bottom, I turned to playing semi-professional poker. Because in Los Angeles, there are all sorts of card casinos. And I realized that sitting at a poker table, no one cared what I looked like. They just wanted my money.
Yeah.
But I started establishing friendships with these degenerate gamblers who were there 14 hours a day, every day. And that's not who I wanted to surround myself with. So I backed off the gambling and then started practicing magic. I'd done magic as a kid, and it was always a hobby that brought me joy. So I started performing magic. And I joined a private club in Hollywood called the Magic Castle and auditioned, and they accepted me, and they gave me a gold pin to wear. And slowly but surely, I started doing a trick here or there. But when I would perform at the table, people were distracted by my face, not in a bad way. They were just curious. I wonder if he had Bell's palsy, or did he have a stroke, or what? He's kind of a big guy. Maybe he had a stroke. I don't know. But what happened is that distracted them from enjoying the magic, from being in the moment. So when that dawned on me, I changed my presentation, and I said, I would open my show. Hi, guys. Glad to have you here. My name is John. I've been doing magic all my life. But in 2002, I had a brain tumor. And when they cut out my head, they traumatized my facial nerve, hence the paralyzed face. But something happened to me when I was on that operating room table. Now, I'm not sure what it was because I was unconscious. All I know is I recovered. Well, I realized I had acquired some new skills. And then I pause. And I wait for my audience to get on the edge of their seat, wanting to know what possible skills I could have acquired from having brain surgery. And I look to my right and my left, and it's like the biggest secret in the world. And I lean in and I whisper in a loud voice, guys, I am able to visualize people's thoughts. And in that moment, I turned my biggest life challenge into a superpower. Because now I had these things that I could do because I had surgeons in monkeying around with my brain. And so that answered the question that my audience didn't have the guts to ask, but were distracted by. So now they know why my face is paralyzed. So they can forget about it and enjoy the magic. And I realized that my magic is, I'm the conduit. My magic is not about what I can do. I always made the magic about the spectator, what they can do. They think of a card, they pick a card, they write something down and I predict it, whatever. It's about the audience. And I learned very early on to use people's names. That's the one word in everyone's vocabulary they fall in love with.
Yeah.
Richard,
Yes.
Don,
Yep.
Manny, Mo, Jack, whatever it is,
Yep.
their name. And you say their name enough, you can't help but engage them.
Yeah, because it makes them feel heard. It makes them feel valuable.
That they're alone. It's a conversation just between them and I.
Yeah.
And so my strength started to come out, and people identified with my struggle and saw my transformation and grew strength from seeing me on the other side of that adversity, having built resiliency in my life. And they were attracted to me, not in a physical, sexual way, but in an emotional, like, wow, John's figured it out. If John could do it, I can do it. I want some of his magic juice. And that's when my conversations with people and my relationships really started to get strong. People looked for me for inspiration. And all I was doing is being my authentic self, saying, yeah, my face is screwed up, period. Nothing to do about it. If you don't like it, you can turn around and walk away. But I'm going to be proud of it. I'm going to wear it like a badge of honor. In my TEDx talk that I did that now has 1 million views,
by the way, I've watched it 3 times. I loved it.
I have 1,000,003 views. But anyway, no. The idea, when you do a TED talk, the idea is one message, one idea. So the idea is how to treat people who are different with respect and compassion. That was my message. And I tell a story about I'm in a restaurant having dinner by myself. Excuse me. And there was a little boy in the booth in front of me, and he was bored. So he turned around and was on his knees and facing me, and he was kind of staring at my face. And he was curious. So I got up from the table. He walked over to me and said, "Mister, what's wrong with your face?" And I had 2 choices. I could shoo him away, or I could teach him a life lesson. So I started to engage with the young man. But then his mom came and grabbed him by the arm and said, "Don't bother the nice man. He has enough troubles already." Well, now I knew I needed to break them of that bad habit of trying to protect their son from life and from dealing with people who looked different. So I went up and got to their table and kneeled down to I was eye level with a little boy. And I said, you had a really good question. You see, I had a medical procedure. And afterwards, it made me not be able to move my face. But it's my new face and I love it. I love it because it's different. Well, it's different just like yours is different. And at that point, the little boy grabbed his hands and his fingers and started manipulating his face, trying to distort it, contort it to look like mine. And turned to his mom and said, "Mom, look, I can do that too." And then he was satisfied. His curiosity was answered. He had no judgments. He was going to make an opinion of whether or not it was different in a bad way or a good way. It was just his face, my face. And he went to finishing his dinner. And I looked at his parents in the eyes. And I saw this sense of shame come to their mind. They had tried to either protect me from being embarrassed or protect their son from, potentially who knows what. But in that moment, I think their parents realized that I had provided their son with a valuable lesson that they had neglected to share with their own son, which is treat everyone equal, no matter what they look like. They're overweight, they are balding, they have a big nose, they have a scar, they are blind, they walk with a limp, whatever it is. They are who they are inside. The outward appearance doesn't define you. You don't want it to. And that's when I coined the phrase, being different is your superpower. And so the more I performed, the more magic happened within me to make me start to learn how to love myself again. You know, my mom showed immediately after surgery that I wasn't lovable. No, she didn't do that on purpose, but it was just her instant reaction. So that traumatized me. And it took a long time for me to remember and realize that was that pivotal moment of my life where my own self-confidence was eroded. And I had two choices. I could let it continue to erode my self-confidence, or I could break out of that shell and celebrate my difference as opposed to hide from it.
Now, let me ask you a question, because a lot of people that watch our show, we're veterans, first responders. A lot of us get hurt on duty. A lot of us don't come back the way we left. Like for me, I'm 60% blind, and so I have to walk around with a white cane a lot of times. But I realized I was in a deep hole for about 18 months until I realized that I survived my accident, and now I use it as my superpower. Because if I can get through that, I could pretty much get through anything at this point in my life. Did you start looking at it as your superpower?
You didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Did you start after a while? Did you start using it as your superpower, realizing if I can make it through this, I can make it through anything?
Well, absolutely. You know, in my coaching practice, that's what I'm, focusing in my resilience and empowerment coaching. I help people tame their inner voice, that negative voice that preoccupies them and keeps them in their comfort zone. You know, that voice does us a service, but it also does us a huge disservice. And we got to know when to ignore that voice and step out of the comfort zone, little by little by little. You know, one of my methodologies is I call it the tripod strategy. And basically, when I was doing theater in college, I had to build a stand for a pot of soup to stand over a fire. And I'm sitting in the scene shop with all the raw materials, and I'm frozen in my tracks. I don't know how to get started. And my instructor, Jerry W. Abbott, rest his soul, walks in. He's from Kentucky, wearing suspenders and a cigar hanging from his mouth and this thick Kentucky accent. Boy, I didn't take you to raise. What are you doing? I looked up and I said, Jerry, I'm having trouble getting started. And he glared at me and he said, okay, take 4 pieces of wood. Okay, put them there, tie a rope at the top. Okay, tie another rope at the bottom so that it's splayed out. Hang a hook. Now you got a tripod. Get out of your head. You know, so many of us have a challenge, and we hit that brick wall and it's impossible. It's impossible. And I truly believe that the word impossible is actually 2 words. It's I'm possible. And I learned through my magic career that everything is possible if you believe. And so I felt that sense of accomplishment having built that tripod in 20 minutes. And I remember looking back and saying, that wasn't so difficult after all. So now when I'm up against the challenge, I just say that mantra over and over again. And that's really, it brings back all those feelings of my ability to get out of my own way. Sorry, I apologize. And it's a way of living. Everybody runs into adversity, and it's how you react to it. It's how you conquer it. It's those lessons you learn along the way. Life is not about the destination. Life is about the journey and enjoying every moment of the journey, even if it's hard. People I talk to say, they get to their midlife crisis, and they're like, I went to school, I got an education, I got a job, now I have a career, I'm making money, and I have a family, and now I'm 50, 55, 60. And I'm thinking to myself, is this all it is? I've accomplished all of my goals, and yet I'm not fulfilled. And I say, yeah, whose dream for you to be an attorney? Whose dream was that? Was that your dream? Or was that your parents' dream, your brother's dream, your sister's dream, your wife's dream? And all of a sudden they realize that they've been living someone else's dream for the last 30 years. And so we go through exercises of dreaming. Okay, no restrictions on what you can accomplish. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And that's how I help my coaching clients, is to get out of their own way.
Now I have a question. It was sent to me through my phone. A gentleman named Michael.
Okay.
Said, John, I'm 56 years old. Because you just mentioned being over, people being over 50. How do I deal with imposter syndrome?
Good question. You need to believe that you are good enough. You need to understand that, not intellectually, not up here, but here. And as long as you give it your best, as long as you put in effort, you will succeed. Because I don't believe in the word failure. Failure is just an opportunity to try something else, try through a different path, a different lens. But you have the power within you to be whomever you choose to be. It may not be an easy road, and that road can change. You go have a path and you have a dream, and all of a sudden something else comes into your life and takes you on a detour. That detour can be exciting. Follow it. You might find joy on the other side. I believe, people say, all right, John, what's your meaning of life? My meaning of life is to live every day with as much joy that I can bring myself and others through my storytelling, through my magic, through my coaching, through my speaking, to make them understand that they are powerful. But thank you, Michael, for your question.
Yes, thank you, Michael, for showing up all the time. You're always here. You're always learning. So show us your book again and how they can get that book while we're sitting here conversing.
So here's the book. And you notice the foreword was written by my good friend, Jamie Lee Curtis.
I love it.
She's been a longtime supporter. She is in a documentary they filmed about me that won a couple of awards called John's Ultimate Illusion. You can look that up on YouTube. It's a 15-minute documentary of my journey from before diagnosis to the diagnosis to the coming to understand that I was worthwhile, and all the amazing things. I live my life with the philosophy that it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And yeah, that's bit me in the ass a couple times, I have to admit. But it's also given me some of the amazing opportunities I would never have received if I didn't just go and do it. One specifically comes into mind. When I was watching Jeopardy one night, and Alex Trebek came on national television and shared his cancer diagnosis with millions of people and said, I'm human and I'm scared and I'm going to go through this and I'm going to beat this disease. And I ask for your prayers and support. That's all. I ask for your friendship. And boy, that was brave. That was one of the bravest moments I can remember seeing on television. And I had worked with people who had been diagnosed with cancer and who had given up and were not going to try that third therapy. And I had worked with them to try one more time. And fortunately, the few patients I worked with actually were able to kick cancer on their third attempt. And so I sat there thinking about, man, this man, one of the people in the world that you have the utmost respect. Unlike the Matt Lauer of the world, he showed up with his knowledge, his care, his articulate. He was just an amazing role model. So I reached out and found his daughter and I said, Nikki, I need to perform for your dad. I've had interactions with people going through cancer, and at least I want to bring him an hour of joy, an hour of respite from that impending doom that he's feeling. And they said, well, okay, we're having a 75th birthday party and you want to be our entertainment, you're it. And I was jazzed because I had an opportunity to change a life. And that's how I approached it. So I wrote a completely brand new show. And if you go to my website, johnkippen.com, and you go to the magic section, you'll see some clips of videos me performing for Alex Trebek. And then the show ended, and Alex and I went into another room. And I shared with him that I had reached out to his family. I wanted to be the one to bring him some joy, bring him some entertainment, and say that his life's work mattered. And he started crying. And I said, Alex, people don't take time to tell you how much you mean to them, do they? And he shook his head. No. No one ever takes my life's work and tells me how much it means to them. And I was like, well, Alex, I had a feeling that you were going to say that. And let me be that first person who says you are valuable. You are worthy. You are a role model to millions and millions of people out there going through cancer, coming back from the military without arms or legs or being disabled for whatever reason. You are someone that we aspire to be like. And if you could do it, damn, we can do it. And that's how I live my life.
So, when we're at this point where we know that, because a lot of people, once they have a tumor, they it's always in the back of their mind, is it coming back? Or for me, it's like, can I go totally blind? Yes. But for me, it's kind of like, okay, well, I want to live every moment. I don't want to worry about what I'm doing tonight. I don't want to worry about what I'm doing tomorrow. I want to worry about just spending time with John right now. I'm in the moment. I want to live in each moment because that's all we have are moments.
Right.
So what is that like to, because I know you're a kind of guy, you live in the moment.
Absolutely. Do I get depressed from time to time? Absolutely. But I'm able to break through that. I'll sit there sulking I give myself 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then I kick myself in the butt and say, I got stuff to do. I got to get up. I got to go wash the dishes. I got to feed the dog. I got to exercise. I got to go to work. I got to call this client. I've got to get on a podcast and inspire Richard's listeners. And, you know, I believe that everything in life is possible. The word impossible is actually 2 words. I'm possible. And that's just a mindset. So if you practice that mindset, the world is your oyster. Go get what you want. Don't wait for it to fall in your lap. It's not going to.
But now you haven't just gone from, being a magician, doing magic and then TEDx speaking. Now you've gone into coaching. You've gone into another realm. You went into directing. So you've kind of splintered out and you let your fingers go out. So talk about how important it is to continue to grow instead of just saying, okay, well, like for me, I'm 56. Instead of me just saying, well, I got 20 years left. I'm just going to do what I continue to do what I've been doing. No, I want to do more. So how important is it for people to realize just because you're at a certain age, life ain't over?
I just turned 60 on July 4th. And I had an opportunity to direct a good friend's one-man magic show in Las Vegas. And when I end this interview, we're going back to rehearsal. And it opens up in the end of July at the Ahern Hotel in Vegas. Have I directed a Vegas show before? Not a chance. But I am up for the challenge because I'm devoted, I'm invested in my friend's J. Scott Berry's success. And we work really well together. And we bonded over this. And now we know how to communicate with each other. We put our egos aside. And if he doesn't like an idea, I say, okay, we'll try something different. What about this? And he goes, yeah, that's it. I'm like, okay, great, we agree. So let's go do it. Nike was not stupid when they came up with their tagline, just do it. Get out of your way, get out of your head. Just embrace the challenges of life as a puzzle that you need to solve. There is a solution. It might take you a day, might take you a week, it might take you a lifetime. But as long as you're really pushing forward and trying every day, you can count your little moments of success. Don't focus on that end goal. Enjoy the journey. Every moment that you go, wow, I can't believe I just did that. Celebrate that. Let that keep you going forward. So important. We don't know what's going to happen to us in 10 minutes from now or an hour. Or, we could fall down a set of stairs and die. We can, whatever. We can burn in a fire. We can go broke. We can, be whatever it is. But it's the way, resilience again is the way you get up from every one of life's challenges. And you say, life is not going to win. I'm going to win. And I'm going to meet life on my terms.
And I love that. And this show is done in honor of one of my great friends. We lost him this week. His name is Steve D. Sims. And we lost him to cancer. But something that he always says was, go for stupid. Go for the big dream. Go for the big goals. And I think a lot of us, especially as we get a little bit older, we're afraid to kind of get back in the ring or try to, get back on the diamond and start trying to hit home runs again. We kind of get used to just hitting singles, even if we might not even get up the bat. Yeah. So somebody just asked, what would be your top 3 pieces of advice for somebody that's getting out of the military and wants to recreate their life?
Well, number one, I've never been in the military, so I'm just I'm just thinking off the cuff here. Celebrate your accomplishments. Be proud of who you are. Be proud that you served our great country, no matter what challenges you have. Number one, wear your pride. Don't shy away from people. Don't let other people's opinion of, you fought for the wrong side, or you got involved in this military conflict that wasn't politically correct or whatever. You represented our country. And for that, you should be proud. Wear that patch. Wear that medal with honor and pride. Not everybody can say they did that. There are a lot of people who dodge service. You chose to fight for our liberty. You chose to fight for our country. That is something that you can take to your grave being proud of. That's number one. Number two, I'm a big fan of dreaming. As a kid, you grow up with your parents and they have a friend come over. And the friend says, "Okay, John, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And you go into this land of make-believe. "I want to be a policeman." "No, I want to be a fireman." Wait. "I want to be a rock star." And then you go in your room and you grab two rulers and you start banging on stuff to make noise like you're playing a trap set. You go and start playing air guitar and you start dreaming and you start fantasizing. You get in that world of make-believe, of where you want to be, who you want to be. Then we grow up and we get a job. And we maybe turn it into a career, or maybe it stays just a job. And then we start a family, and then we realize that we stopped dreaming. It's so important to, before you go to bed, do some breathing exercises, center yourself, and just dream about what you can do tomorrow to move you forward in your life, to bring a little joy to your life. And the key about bringing joy to your life is that in the process, you bring joy to other people's lives. Joy is contagious. And when you show up showing that you are joyful, people can't help but be attracted to you. Not in a physical, sexual way, in an emotional way. And all of a sudden they see in you this strength, this resiliency, this empowerment that they want for themselves. And just by showing up as your authentic self, dealing with your vision issues, dealing with a missing limb, whatever it is, but being proud, standing in your own body, showing up. That is how you inspire others to get out of their own way. And there is no feeling better than having someone you talk to come to you and say, what you said really resonated with me, and I'm going to follow in your footsteps because I saw some passion in you that I haven't seen before. And I want some of that secret sauce. We all have it in ourselves to be great, to be powerful, to conquer any obstacle in our path. It's just setting your mind, setting your goal, and doing it, and living that dream. Oh yeah, use S for a third thing. I just think that the loving your fellow man, being supportive of other people, celebrating, being invested in other people's success is so darn important. It's what real friendships are made of. And at the end of the day, no matter if you're a spiritual person, you believe in heaven, you believe in hell, you believe in Mecca, you believe in whatever you believe in a coffin 6 feet under, it doesn't matter. The only thing you can take to wherever you end up is the relationship and memories of you working and being with your friends and family.
Amen.
All that matters. The money, you can't take it with you.
No.
The medals, you can't take it with you. What you take is your pride. You take your accomplishments in helping others achieve their goals and their dreams. You know, sometimes you see their block clear as a bell. You know what's holding them back, and they're blind to it. That's what coaching is all about. I help people find their black spots in their vision.
I love it. So now, how do we? First of all, where do we find your TEDx talk? Where do we find your books? And how do we, if we want to get coaching from you, how do we get in your ecosystem?
Well, you can post a message on this podcast. I'll be checking the comments. You can go to John Kippen, KIPPEN.com. That's our master site. It'll take you to my speaking website. It'll take you to my coaching website. My email is john@johnkippen.com. You can send me a message. When you do, be respectful, though.
Yep.
You know, I spend a lot of time posting on Instagram, and I get a lot of haters. I get a lot of people, you know, wanting to tear me down because I'm sharing strength. And instead of embracing it, they're like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy hasn't been through my adversity. He doesn't know what he's doing. Just reach out. A conversation. That's all I ask. You know, if you really want some help guiding you through whatever you're going through, I'm happy to set up a time to talk to you about it and see if we're a good fit, and then see something that we can work together to get you through whatever your trauma is, whatever your adversity is. Again, I'm trained, so I have the ability to see those limiting beliefs that you have just taken for granted. You know, talking about limiting beliefs, you know, we grow up with whoever raised us, our parents or grandparents, foster parents, doesn't matter. But they have a set of beliefs, and those beliefs are the ones that we grow up with. And they become your beliefs, and you don't challenge them. Every once in a while, stop and say, is this belief system moving us forward in our life? Is this what we really believe? You know, having your own set of beliefs empowers you. It's what makes you stand out from the crowd. Celebrating your beliefs, no matter what everybody says, no matter what the political landscape, it doesn't matter. Show up. You know? Show up and vote. That's how we change our country, one vote at a time. You don't like who's in the White House? Doesn't matter. Vote him out. If you like him, vote for him. It doesn't matter. Yep. It's showing up, getting involved.
Yep. I always tell everybody, get up, get dressed, show up, and show out. And that's the best way you can start living a great life. Yeah. John, my brother, I'm so grateful for your friendship. I'm humbled and grateful that you come on the show. You've inspired me to become a better man, a better father, a better husband, a better businessman, better podcaster. So I just want to personally say thank you so much for your friendship and for being such an inspiration.
You know, I've done a lot of podcasts. I've probably done 30 or 40 podcasts as a guest. but you invested in my success. You really showed that you wanted to share my message with your listeners. It wasn't about you. It was about me and my message. And boy, you don't know what that means to me. Because again, I'm there to help your listeners and the world get out of their own way and start enjoying life. Start stepping outside of that comfort zone, even if it's only an inch outside that comfort zone. It doesn't matter. It's making that effort. That's all we can ask of each other.
I love it. And guys, make sure you check out John everywhere. His Instagram is awesome. I was on it all day today. I was watching some of his previous podcast appearances, some great shows that you've been on, and I'm humbled to be one of them. And guys, as I end my show every day when I'm on my show.
Before you do, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
For the free gift, the copy of my book, digital copy, go to johnkippen.com/free gift. It'll ask you to enter your name and your email address so I can keep in touch with you. And you'll be able to download the 233-page, award-winning, best-selling book with stories from my life, good, bad, and joyful.
And guys, you're not going to be able to get it for free and only if you're listening to this show. So you just got to remember that.
Otherwise, by all means, go to Amazon and pay $24.95 for the book.
It won't hurt your feelings whatsoever.
It'll be well worth the investment. I tell you that much.
And guys, like I said, every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can be a victim or you can be a victor. And if you listen to this show, you're no longer victims of your past. You're victors of your present and your future. And like my t-shirt says, I win, you win, as long as you show up and show out every day. Like John says, you're going to win. So guys, remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is up. I love you guys. John, my brother, thank you so much. You're truly amazing.
Thank you.
Have an awesome week. And I guess you got to go do some directing, right?
I do.
Go kick some ass, brother.
Thank you very much.